Alex sat hunched over his laptop, the dim glow of the screen illuminating the determined glint in his eyes. He wasn't just a software engineer, he was a problem solver, a man who thrived on logic and data. And the problem of Evergreen Meadows' fraudulent HOA was a complex, multi-layered puzzle he was eager to solve. His first step was to build a digital war room. He created a detailed spreadsheet to log every fine, every threat, and every interaction. He set up a secure, encrypted messaging channel to communicate with his friend, Liam, a sharp-witted corporate lawyer who specialized in complex legal frameworks. Liam, who had helped Alex with the legal software for his previous startup, was a master of sniffing out fraud and legal loopholes. "This is hilarious, man." Liam's voice crackled through the encrypted call. "A fake HOA? This is the kind of stuff they make movies about." "It's not so funny when she's threatening to remove my birdhouse," Alex retorted, a hint of genuine frustration in his voice. "And she's a piece of work." The condescending tone, the "I know the law better than you" attitude, it's pure arrogance. "All right, let's nail her," Liam said, his voice turning serious. "The key here is to build a rock-solid case. We can't just accuse her. We have to prove a pattern of abuse and fraud. We need victims." Alex took this to heart. His revenge wouldn't be a simple takedown. It would be a full-scale dismantling of Brenda Vance's empire of lies. He started his investigation by creating a website disguised as a community forum for Evergreen Meadows. The design was simple and clean, mirroring the neighborhood's aesthetic with a single, innocent-looking question on the homepage. "Have you had an issue with the HOA?" He posted the link on various local Facebook groups and forums, being careful to remain anonymous. The responses were a flood. Within 24 hours, his inbox was overflowing with stories. A retired couple fined for having an unapproved shade of blue on their shutters, with a violation notice for a swing set that was too visible from the street. Another homeowner was threatened with a lien on their property for a dead patch of grass that was, in fact, dormant due to the season. The stories painted a clear picture of Brenda Vance not as a community leader, but as a tyrannical dictator, using the guise of the HOA to enforce her personal preferences and line her pockets with fraudulent fines. Alex and Liam started cross-referencing names and addresses, and a pattern began to emerge. The fines were rarely paid. When homeowners tried to fight, Brenda would escalate her threats, mentioning legal action and property liens. In most cases, the victims, intimidated by her confidence and the official-looking documents, would simply give up and comply. The few who paid their fines did so just to end the harassment. The money, Alex's research revealed, wasn't going into a community fund. It was going into a personal bank account under the name of Evergreen Ventures, LLC, a company registered under Brenda's husband's name, Walter Vance. The revelation hardened Alex's resolve. This wasn't just about his birdhouse anymore. It was about protecting his neighbors from a ruthless fraudster. He began reaching out to the most vocal victims, carefully explaining the situation without revealing his identity. He set up a secret meeting at a local coffee shop, inviting a small, trusted group of residents. The meeting was tense and filled with a nervous energy. The retired couple, the young family, and 2 other homeowners sat around a small table, their faces etched with a mix of disbelief and hope. Alex, still anonymous, spoke through a voice changer app on his phone, using a laptop to project his findings on the table. "My investigation has revealed that the Evergreen Meadows Homeowners Association is a fraudulent entity," Alex's disguised voice announced. "It is not a registered non-profit or corporation. Brenda Vance has no legal authority to impose these fines. It's a sham." The room erupted in a stunned silence, followed by a flurry of whispers and questions. "Are you sure about this?" one woman asked, her voice trembling. "She threatened to take our house if we didn't pay the fine for our fence." Alex calmly presented his research, the government registry websites, the bank account information, the shell corporation. He showed them documented evidence of every fraudulent fine and threat. As they saw the irrefutable proof, disbelief turned to anger. The retired couple, who had paid over $1,000 in fines, looked heartbroken. The young family, who had taken down their children's playset, was furious. "She used our fear against us," the young father said, his fists clenching. "She knew we wouldn't risk losing our home. She's a monster. So what do we do? The retired man asked, his voice full of newfound resolve. We expose her, Alex's voice changer replied. But we have to be smart. We can't just go public. We need to build a case that the local authorities and the media can't ignore. We'll use her own tactics against her. We'll serve her with a legal notice, not from us, but from a legitimate legal team. We'll hit her where it hurts the most, her fraudulent business and her reputation. Alex had a plan. He would collect a notarized affidavit from every victim. He would meticulously document every fine, every threat, and every instance of abuse. He and Liam would draft a comprehensive legal demand letter, detailing every fraudulent act and demanding a full refund of all fines paid. They would serve this letter at a public HOA meeting, in front of the entire community. It wouldn't just be about revenge, it would be about justice. The group, now a united front, agreed to help. They were no longer victims. They were co-conspirators in a mission to take down a tyrant. As they left the coffee shop, a newfound sense of purpose hung in the air. The perfect suburban facade of Evergreen Meadows was about to crumble, and Alex, the quiet software engineer, was about to become the hero his community never knew it needed. The game had just moved from his front yard to a much bigger stage. The revenge, as he saw it, had just begun. He knew that the confrontation with Brenda was just a single battle in a long war. She was powerful and cunning, but she had a weakness. She had underestimated him. She had no idea she was messing with the wrong neighbor. The plan was in motion. Alex, wearing a nondescript hoodie and a baseball cap, felt more like a spy than a software engineer. The group he had assembled, a coalition of the wronged, had met again, this time at the community library, a neutral ground where Brenda's watchful eyes couldn't reach. They had collected the affidavits, each one a testament to Brenda's greed and deceit. Mr. and Mrs. Henderson, the retired couple, had tearfully recounted how Brenda had harassed them over their unapproved garden gnomes. The young family, the Millers, had detailed how they were forced to remove their daughter's tree swing. Every story added a new layer to Brenda's fraudulent enterprise. With the evidence compiled, Alex gave Liam the go-ahead. Liam, a legal eagle in his element, drafted a cease and desist letter so meticulously detailed, it read like a criminal indictment. It was an exhaustive document, citing every fraudulent fine, every threat, and every instance of harassment, all backed by the notarized affidavits. It demanded a full refund of all fines paid and an immediate public dissolution of the Evergreen Meadows Homeowners Association. The timing was crucial. The biannual community meeting was scheduled for the coming Saturday in the main hall of the clubhouse, a place Brenda considered her personal throne room. The residents, many still unaware of the fraud, would be there. Alex's group would be there too, not as intimidated homeowners but as a unified front. The plan was to serve Brenda the legal letter in front of everyone, exposing her sham to the entire neighborhood at once. It was a risky move, but Alex believed it was the only way to truly break her. She thrived on her reputation and the illusion of power. They were going to shatter both. Saturday arrived, a perfectly sunny day that felt ironic against the storm about to break. Alex and his group arrived early, taking seats in the back of the hall. The air was buzzing with the usual small talk about lawn maintenance and school schedules. Brenda, in a crisp navy blue blazer, stood at the podium, a confident smile plastered on her face. Her husband, Walter, sat at a table nearby, looking a bit like a glorified secretary, meticulously sorting papers. Brenda began her speech with her usual air of self-importance, rattling off a list of achievements from the past 6 months, new community signage, a beautification fund, and a new and improved list of bylaw regulations. She spoke of order, discipline, and the importance of preserving property values. Every word was a polished lie. As she concluded her monologue, she opened the floor for questions. This was their moment. Mr. Henderson, his hands trembling slightly, stood up. Mrs. Vance, I'd like to talk about the recent fines that have been imposed. Many of us feel they are unjust and, frankly, excessive. Brenda's smile didn't falter, but a cold glint entered her eyes. Mr. Henderson, if you have a complaint, you should file it through the proper channels, as outlined in your community bylaws. This is not the forum for personal grievances. A murmur went through the crowd. This was typical Brenda, dismissing anyone who dared to question her authority. But this time it was different. A young man from Alex's group stood up. "What about the fact that your HOA isn't legally registered? We looked it up. It doesn't exist." The hall went silent. Brenda's face flushed. "That is a baseless and ridiculous accusation," she snapped. "Our records are all filed with the state." "And what about the fines?" The young man continued, emboldened by the silence. "Where does that money go?" "We have proof it's not going to the community fund." Brenda's perfectly composed facade began to crack. She pointed a trembling finger at him. "You are out of order. This meeting is for—" It was Alex's cue. He stood up slowly, a simple, unassuming figure in the back of the room. He walked to the front, holding a thick envelope. As he approached the podium, Brenda's eyes widened in recognition. It was the birdhouse man. The smile was gone, replaced by a mask of fury and fear. "Brenda Vance." Alex's voice was calm and steady, projecting across the silent room. "I'm not here to ask questions. I'm here to serve you." He handed her the envelope. Her hands, which had been so quick to grab her clipboard and wave her authority around, now fumbled nervously. She took the envelope and stared at it as if it were a bomb. "What is this?" she demanded, her voice a shrill whisper. "It's a legal demand letter," Alex said, his voice rising in confidence. "On behalf of every resident you have scammed, threatened, and harassed. It details every fraudulent fine, every illegal threat of a property lien, and every dime you've stolen. We are demanding a full refund, with interest, and the immediate dissolution of your so-called HOA." Brenda's face went white. She looked around the room, her eyes darting from face to face. The homeowners, once silent and intimidated, were now looking at her with dawning realization and outright disgust. The facade was crumbling. Walter, her husband, stood up looking pale. "This is a private matter. You can't—" "It's not a private matter when you're stealing from the entire community," Alex cut him off. "We have notarized affidavits from a dozen residents. We have your bank records. We have your shell company, Evergreen Ventures LLC. You have no authority here, Brenda. You never did. This whole thing was a lie." The hall erupted in chaos. People were shouting, demanding answers, and looking at Brenda with a fury that had been simmering beneath the surface for months. Brenda, for the first time in years, was speechless. Her polished image was in ruins. Her reign of terror was over. The birdhouse, Alex's simple act of rebellion, had become the tool of her downfall. The revenge was sweet, but the justice was sweeter. The fake HOA was exposed, and the real community was finally waking up.